Hello, hello. Hola, Luciano,
Hi, I
¿ahora sí
can
me
hear you.
escucha?
Yeah, I can
Oh,
hear
you
you.
can. Thank you. I think we're still waiting for a few more people, so I'm gonna give a few minutes, couple of minutes. Hola, Ernesto. How are you?
Hey, Oscar. Good afternoon. Thanks. I'm doing well, thanks.
Good afternoon. Thanks for joining. We're still waiting for a few people might be joining.
Lose up to $200 billion. My name is Oscar, and I'm the founder of PowerBox Technology. At PowerBox, we're helping factories be resilient against climate change, and we are doing this by helping them integrate renewable energies to improve operational excellence and minimize the cost of electricity. Factories actually lose a lot of money due to grid instability. Data from the World Bank shows how millions of businesses worldwide lose up to $200 billion annually given outages and grid instability. These losses can mean up to 5% of annual sales in certain parts of the world. So we might think, how come businesses around the world have not found correct solutions to these issues? So there has been solutions. One of them is the backup generation, which is unreliable and costly. And now they're presented with renewable energy technology, which is complicated to integrate. Our solution to this problem is the PowerBlock Modular Energy Platform. This modular platform enables the seamless integration of solar energy and energy storage to make sure machines are running 100% of the time and the cost of electricity is cut in half. So the PowerBlock, it's a combination of subsystems that integrate different sources. It has a module to integrate power from the grid, a module to integrate solar power, and modules to deliver reliable power to the factory. These modules work together and can seamlessly integrate with various different technologies for energy storage and operate in different environments. We're currently working with customers at 3 different pilot sites where we are installing our energy management platform to monitor their energy assets and propose improvements to their operations. With the data that we're gathering, we're proposing complete energy systems which use the PowerBlock technology. Behind PowerBox, we have a team of engineers led by me, faculty affiliated advisors, And we have the backing of prestigious institutions, including Google, NVIDIA, and the Poets Laboratory. With the help from this fundraising campaign, we can keep supporting our customers at the pilot locations to further develop our technology, scale it, and get more customers in the region. Today, we're raising funds through the WeFounder app so we can complete our pre-seed round to keep scaling our technology, keep getting market, and keep evolving for continuous growth. Also, we want to enable people to have the power to join us on our mission, which is redefining energy security one factory at a time.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first English webinar for our crowdfunding campaign for PowerBox. We may have a couple of more people joining us, but first I just wanted to thank everybody for joining. And you might see a couple of our team members here, Luciano being one of them. He cannot turn his camera at the moment, but he is part of our software development team. And we have a new team member, which right now is using an account, but you might not see, so you might not see his name. So Deepak, can you quickly turn your camera just to say hi?
Hi everyone, I'm Deepak Subramanian and excited to be part of this webinar today and happy to see how this goes. And I'm Deepak Subramanian. I completed my master's at University of Illinois Champaign-Urbana and I'm here at PowerBox and see what else we can join together. So back to you, Oscar.
Thank you. So the idea today is just kind of give a brief overview of the company, but most of the time I hope we spend on questions, answering questions and providing more depth about the campaign itself. I will still like explain very quickly how the campaign works and how to perform what they call commitments, and also just a few concepts about equity investing and crowdfunding. So Chris is here as well. Chris is another PowerBox adjacent person. He works at NASA, and we used to share a laboratory, work in the same laboratory here at the University of Illinois, and now Chris is joining us as an advisor. And you can see Chris is joining from a federal office right now. Good to have you here, Chris. I was just saying we're gonna just give a quick intro about the company, and we want to make it more interactive. So answer some questions. I think Chris you already have one prepared for us, so we can get started with that. But yeah, for now, I'm just gonna give a quick overview of the company and then go into that section. So just quickly, what problem we're solving, right? We're just working with factories and facility managers, which deal with a lot of issues related to grid unreliability. So of course, this depends on the region, but there's part of the world that lose a lot of money, given that this grid can be unreliable and has a big impact on operations. So looking at the macro scale, many countries in the world suffer from this, and the global loss is estimated in multiple hundreds of billions of dollars. And this includes even developed countries of the developed world, industrialized world, which in certain areas have less access to high quality electricity, and there is factories and manufacturing collocated in this region. So it's a global problem. So the solution so far has been the backup generation. This is just not a complete solution. Why is that? Because the backup is used mostly when there is long-term outages that require these systems to ramp up, and this is more expensive and requires more complicated integration and doesn't completely solve the problem. And now we have all of these renewable energy technologies who could help a lot to improve these issues, but for manufacturers, it's quite complicated to integrate it. So I use this as a kind of a story that the manufacturer says, hey, it will be awesome to still like have access to the grid, have access to energy from the grid, which is affordable in general. But I also want to have a system that is very reliable, and I want protection from those grid conditions. So this same person will say, hey, it would be nice to have a system that helps me integrate grid power, also help me to easily add energy renewables from solar energy, and leverage energy storage to have very reliable operations in the factory. So we came up with the architecture that is called the PowerBlock, which helps these type of users seamlessly integrate grid energy with energy storage and solar energy. The main innovation is in the architecture, but also the software that optimizes this architecture. So our software is centered around making very good predictions about factory operations, energy patterns, consumption patterns, energy generation patterns, and also unreliable conditions from the grid and from internally in the factory. The two main objectives is to optimize the cost of this energy system, but also bring 100% electrical uptime in the factory. So we are designing the system such as a modular system. So this will enable making very big installations, but also having this flexibility that some factories might be smaller in scale, so you might require a smaller amount. And also this modularity, it's very helpful to future-proof, right, energy development. So you can start with a simpler system, and then while you add more energy storage, you can add more of the power blocks. And again, what is at the heart of our software and innovation is the prediction and this capacity to use large amounts of data to better allocate energy resources, take energy from the grid, and use the different energy resources to optimize the cost overall for the factory, while keeping 100% electrical uptime, which is the main goal for our system. Some numbers that I have from some references, some basic average factories that we have interviewed. This data we have it's about how much we can save in energy using our system. So that's around $500,000 in a year, and then how much they can save in unreliable conditions, which for a factory located in certain areas can be more than 1%. Here we're using 1%. And then using the cost of the energy system as a whole, this includes batteries, installation, all of that, and then the cost to operate the system, which is what the customer pays us for the software. So all in all, this is looking as a 2-year payback, which is pretty good for our energy project these days. And again, the main reason for this is that we are not only tackling the issue of energy cost, but the bigger issue of reliability, which is crucial for these clients. The way we're already getting into the market is by installing our software without installing anything before installing any expensive system. We install a computer that runs our software. The software is also cloud software. We use large amounts of data to propose a complete energy system that uses the power blocks and the different energy sources. So our software helps the user to have an end-to-end solution from the initial measurement of all of the different conditions of their data, and then to a full complete proposal. We have small scale prototype of the PowerBlock, which we are scaling into a more robust design that actually works in a industrial environment. And this is being tested at a National Science Foundation funded center, POETS, which, by the way, this is Chris and I used to work for, we used to use funds from POETS as well back in the day. And then we already are commercializing our software platform. As I mentioned, we don't have to install the full system to start working with factories. We can just chip meters and run our software to get data and then build that pipeline. We're looking at a big market considering only heavy manufacturing. This is data, very, very detailed data. This is a bottom-up analysis considering only heavy industry, but not including steel and cement and higher energy demand industries, but also not low energy demand industries like food and beverage and even car manufacturing might not have as much as a factory that makes paper or cardboard or things like that. So we're focusing on this heavy industry market right now, which is shown in the smaller circle, the SOM. The incumbents are the big brands, usually design systems that are too big, so they are for the grid, or too small, which is residential and commercial buildings. But this niche of the industry is currently being underserved, and we're targeting that market. So right now we are raising funds. So this campaign that we're doing with WeFunder, it's a big start for this. It's not the complete funds, or we don't expect to have all of the funds from there, but it will definitely be very helpful to kickstart our process of fundraising to achieve our first milestone, which is $500,000, and then achieve our sales milestones, which is $5 million in 3 years in annual recurring revenue. Within those 3 years, we of course will keep getting sales and more funding from grants and a consecutive campaign for fundraising. Most of the money that we're raising right now is focused on the development of our software platform. And why is that? It's because we can leverage government grants and fellowships and things like that to obtain and do the development of the hardware. And there is a lot of focus on hard tech and climate tech to do hardware manufacturing, and we can leverage those resources. So we're using half of these funds for our current operations, which is software operations and R&D in the data analytics and whatnot. And then the other side of this will be obtained through grants. The team, as you can see right here in this meeting, we have a few people related, but we also have advisors that have been collaborating with us for at least for this year. They are affiliated with the University of Illinois, which is where we're located. And we're also part of different institutions that support our growth, including NVIDIA, Google for Startups, Microsoft, and now POETS Laboratory, which is where we're developing our hardware. So yeah, that's an introduction to the company. Before we jump into Q&A, I just wanted to explain very fast what this campaign is all about. Equity crowdfunding is essentially a way for startups to raise funds from non-traditional investors. What that means is anyone, anywhere in the world can invest down to $100 and be an early stage investor for the company. And this opens the window and the possibilities for anyone that is not a traditional certified or regulated investor here in the US or a venture capitalist, anyone that is outside of those areas to be an investor in companies at these early stages. And the way it works is we will be raising a certain amount of money. We set a timeline. Once the campaign goes public, you can see here it says 3 days. This is the moment where the campaign is exposed through the platform. And then after that, we will set a timeline to raise as much funds as possible up to a certain limit. And then after that, that money gets invested to the company as a single investment. Again, I'm gonna leave space for questions, but essentially, the idea, the way this works is all of the money is pulled together into a company, and then that company invests as a single investor in PowerBox. We have to assign a lead investor. He didn't join today, but he is essentially a subject matter expert, and he's also invested early in the company, and he will be leading the decisions of this LLC that is formed for PowerBox to invest in PowerBox. And I think maybe no one here has ever done the steps to invest. Maybe Emily did it, but essentially it's very easy. I think. I don't know, Emily, do you want to talk about your experience doing an investing? Actually, Emily was the very first one, which is a fun fact. I don't know, it put you in the spot, Emily.
That's okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Can you hear me? Yeah,
I can hear you.
I mean, I don't have too much to say, and I'm on my phone, so if it's hard to hear me, that's why. But super easy. It's like filling out GoFundMe, except that there's a lot more resources to read up on PowerBox, and more of the terms are listed. So yeah, super user friendly.
So you basically can use a credit card, which has a fee, which is higher, but then you can also use a wire transfer, which is a smaller fee. Maybe for a small donation, sorry, for a small investment, it doesn't matter. But for a higher than, let's say, $2,000, then those fees are up. So it's better to do a wire transfer or if you're in the U.S., a bank. Just put the bank account and transfer directly, like ACH. But yeah, essentially, when you do that, you're essentially buying a piece of the company. And the way this works, like the instrument used for investing, is called a safe note. And again, please ask me all of the questions about this, but a safe note is just a way to help give a value to the company at these very early stages, in a way that protects me, let's say the founders and the company, and then and you as an investor. So we set a valuation. Oh, Philip is joining. So we set a valuation for the company, which is a cap. It's called a cap, which essentially says in the next round where we raise funds from a traditional investor like a venture capital firm or an accelerator, well, not an accelerator, would have to be like a big venture capital firm or a more traditional investor that sets the terms that says this is the value of their company. Essentially, what the safe note does is we're no valuing you at such a high valuation. We're gonna use a cap on the valuation, and in that way your investment is valued more, right? So the much smaller the valuation against the valuation that the next investor gives, the better the more money the more shares you're getting for your money, essentially. I can give a numeric example, but again, I want to leave enough questions and make it more dynamic. So yeah, I just wanted to start with that and leave all of the rest of the time for Q&A. That will help clarify a lot of the points they touch on. So whoever wants to go first. We can also leave questions in Q&A if somebody doesn't have like a microphone, or they cannot talk right now. We have a Q&A button here.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. So the campaign is again going to launch on Jan 7th, if I'm not, is my understanding
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. So we're already raising enough money. So they have like a minimum threshold, but that's not true. We can start a campaign whenever, even when there is just $100 invested. But the WeFunder, the team from WeFunder recommends that you start your campaign with as much money as possible. So then it's more attractive for those investors that are not close to me or like are just going through the platform. It's kind of a, going into Amazon without enough reviews. So we're building that momentum before we get there. But yeah,
Amazing.
we have enough funds so far to make a good start, and we have comments, updates, and stuff like that. That's gonna help a lot. Um, so
Amazing.
yeah.
Perfect then. Yeah. Thank you.
Mhm.
That's
Thank you,
very
Deepak.
fluent.
So Oscar,
Excellent.
for this round of investments, how much have you raised? How far are you from your target? And I was wondering if you could give us one of those numerical examples that you were mentioning, maybe
Yes.
just to give us some idea of what it would look like.
Yeah, you mean the numerical example for your investment, right? For
Yeah,
the
yeah, just
valuation.
put a
Okay.
number there and see what we're looking
Sure.
like. And yeah, thanks.
For sure. So yeah, we are at around $36,000. I have a few other investments that commitments that will go through this weekend. We also have raised money externally, but that's like an earlier stage investment from an angel, which is around $20,000. But that's not reflected here in the campaign and won't be because it's like a separate deal. It's completely separate. The numerical example. So basically, it's very easy. Whatever amount you have, you just have to test against this cap. So, and right now, we have a discount. So before 50K, your investment is valued more. Instead of using $3 million valuation, we will be using $2.7 million. So let's assume just again, I don't want to make such a small number, so I'm just gonna use $10,000 as an example. So $10,000 against $2.7 million means that on the next round, the next time we raise funds, your investment will be converted to the following percentage of stock. So it would be 2.7 million. I think I have one extra. So yeah, so $10,000 divided by 2.7 millions give us 0.4%, 0.3%, or 4.37% of the company. I have designed the expected rounds in a way that this money or this equity doesn't get diluted. And this is also something the safe note has as a term. The safe note typically, like the standard safe note that we use, which is the Y Combinator safe note, has clauses that protect the investment for future dilution, which is adding more investors that will say, no, this is my percentage, then create more shares, and that those shares just dilute that initial investment. So we're protecting that in those early investors. So that's a numerical example. You just take whatever amount your money is valued against, and this is a cap. So that means that if for any reason the company doesn't grow as fast and the valuation is not above $2.7 million, let's say it's $2 million, your money will be valued against $2 million, right? Because that's better. The idea is to protect that situation as well. If the valuation is lower, you're going to get valued against that lower amount. If the valuation is much higher, you're going to cap it so your money is valued more, right, than that next round. Which is so we expect this to be higher because right now we will be raising $500,000, but in the next round we could be raising around $3 million. And for a second round, typically they will take 10% of the investment. So that means that for $3 million invested at a 10% of equity means that they're valuing you at $30 million. So instead of using $30 million as a valuation for your money, we will be using the cap, which is $3 million.
Got it. Thank you. Thank you, Oscar.
Thank you, Ernesto. Chris, I think you were gonna ask something before.
All the terms are in the process here, as was mentioned. Is that right? Like the documentation and the documentation, the terms, it'll be part of like the process of submitting the funding. Okay.
Yeah, so we need, well, to submit the commitment, you don't need to do much. You just put the commitment, put your information, and then it gets added to the platform. The money doesn't get transferred. In fact, doesn't get transferred until the very end when the campaign finishes. All of the legal stuff is in place. Everybody signs, and then that's when the money gets formally transferred.
Okay.
So for some people that use credit card, I think that looks like a hold, and for some other people, it's like maybe like if you use a wise transfer, it gets transferred into a temporary account or something like that, but the money is not officially transferred anywhere. It's just like a virtual account, essentially. So yeah, the platform makes it so everything is automated until like everything is signed, everything is in place, the LLC is filed, and all of the legal stuff is completed. That's when the money officially gets transferred.
Would you be able to go through the numbers on the payback slide? Like you had top line numbers, but are you able to share like some of the, like the calculations and stuff like that and where that comes from?
Yeah, for sure. So you want to see a little bit more depth in this, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so the right hand side, this is very simple, right? This is just basically, this is more like case by case. Like you ask the factory, how much do you lose every year, given downtime from outages, and nothing that is more internal, right? Because you cannot fix that completely. If you have all machines, there's nothing you can do about it. But let's say external issues, outages, grid failures, stuff like that. How much money? Give me a number that gives an estimate. On the left-hand side, like the savings, we use is an approximation based on very detailed data from the customer. And this data is what we get through running the energy management platform software, getting information from the factory or from the facility. And I have an example here with the site that we're already in that stage, trying to find it here. So this is actual data from the, let's not get too confused with the numbers because it can be overwhelming, but essentially this is data from a commercial site. It's a country club where we developed our first pilot. We have been running it for 6 months. Each of these is like, we have multiple meters. So each meter is measuring a separate, let's say, area of the country club. So for example, 1 meter measures the chiller, another meter measures the pumps of the pools, another meter measures all of the lights and stuff like that. So we are grabbing all of that data for 6 months or 4 months. And then we get some curves that are like energy curves, like how much energy is consumed during different times of the day. To minimize the cost of our system, we use what it's called variable pricing, which is in very basic words. It means that you pay more money during the peak time of the day, and you invest less money when energy is cheaper, typically in the nighttime, which is not always the case, but in the case of this site, nighttime means cheaper. So we break that down into multiple, it's buckets of how much energy is consumed at this hour, range of hours, how much energy is consumed at this other range of hours, and then we have day by day. So we do a classification by day. And then that builds a profile, right? So how does your factory or your facility looks like for a year or for a few months? And then based on that profile, we can know, we essentially know um, what is the most critical condition throughout the month or throughout the year of energy utilization that with the battery system you need to satisfy. So essentially what this is saying is, what is the day that are consuming the most energy, and what size of battery you will need to supply enough energy to that condition. So with this first step, we get that battery estimation. Then if the site requires solar energy, that's where we add this second step, which is the solar estimation. Again, I'm not going to show all of that stuff, but this is actually very detailed data for solar generation for that location. This is actually for a full year. And we assume, okay, let's assume you have this amount of solar panels or this amount of power supplying that meter, how much energy you can generate from solar throughout the year. And then the next step after that is we compare, okay, what's the day that you produce the less amount of energy from solar and consume the most amount of energy? And that's the, let's say, the most critical case, right? That's the most critical case when you consume the most, but you generated the least from solar. Using that difference, we estimate essentially what's the final size of a battery system that you will need. And then another condition that you have to estimate for is, okay, what if there is a day that I actually have a lot of excess energy from solar? If that's the case, then you have to dimension your system for that size of a battery plus that extra amount of solar that you want to store. And why is that? Because it's always cheaper to have to use that extra amount of solar. It's always worth it to add a little bit more of storage to accommodate for that extra amount of solar. So it's like all of these multiple steps. This is not like a complete optimization or anything, but it's a very good approximation. And then we run the financials. So we use what is the cost of this solar system plus the cost of this amount of energy storage plus the cost of your solution, the PowerBox, and then we get a full estimation of the site. I had a update in the WeFunder app where we run this tool. So there is like a little bit of data here I can show. So this is using exactly that data that I was showing. So this is the actual tool that we use. So you can see how, let's see if I get better quality video. Why so low quality? Well, so you can see, I don't know if you can read it. And you read it just fine? So you can see
Yes.
meter 2, that's one side of the site. The total system cost is $236,000. So that uses our energy storage system, the battery 67,000, the total solar cost 63,000, then all of the installation and materials and development integration work, and then this is the power block, which is our hardware. And then we have ROI. So this meter in particular has a pretty bad ROI. So we wouldn't do a system like this because this is not really good. But a system like this first meter that we saw, oh, now we have better quality. This is a 170% ROI. This is for 10 years, which is looking much better. Typically, if the equations or the estimations return such a bad ROI, typically means that you have a very big system for such a small energy consumption. So it will be easier to just mix these 2 meters. So instead of using one power block per meter, we will like mix them together, and then there's that power block giving energy to the two. Then the numbers look better. But that's essentially it. We estimate like the size of the system, and then based on some, we use some numbers for the cost of these materials, and then we do a financial analysis, year by year financial analysis of how the cost is recuperated, which actually there is a spreadsheet that, okay, let me see if I play it. There is a report that gets generated, and then from that report, we get like year by year, the recovery of the cost. So yeah, that's essentially it. The numbers here are not as good as the ones in the presentation. That's because this facility is not industrial. This is commercial. So their demand, like their peaks from different machines, is not as high. So they're not saving as much energy, money from that. But our solution in a factory environment makes a lot of sense because they have a lot of ramping up and down machines that are really expensive. You know, in a very simple way, we can think of, oh, how bad this is for the grid to have such big machines just completely turning on and like getting charged for that. You know, the factory needs to pay for that, right? For that strain on the grid. So essentially, that's the main difference there in the economies of the energy system.
And this is in the fundraising interface, the video you showed.
Yeah, everything is there. So if you go to, so like in the campaign, you go to updates.
Okay.
Then the latest update is what we call a proposals tool, which is this new feature. This feature is also like is catching interest for a company here in Illinois that they work with data centers and facilities. We're exploring that space as well. Maybe we can upsell a little bit of that with their clients. So yeah, we're just gonna for now test it at their facility in Peoria, but eventually, after a few months of trial, we will take it to their clients essentially. So yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Well, no, we have more questions. But Deepak, if you need to leave, no worries. Philip.
No, I thought like people are leaving. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah,
Philip,
sorry,
how are you?
I had a very quick. I'm doing very well, actually, Oscar. Thank you very much for asking.
Amazing.
I had a brief question about the country club and your work with them, and
Yeah.
on what. So, do you have a particular timeline with your work with them? Like right now, you're in a trial phase and stuff like that. Will that matriculate into a full-time contract at some point if you deliver what they're expecting? And what would be the timeline for that? What is that looking like?
Yeah, great. So we are, well, when I say we, I mean me. I'm in the stage where I have to make a complete business proposal that is presented to what is it called, like the management team of the country club. Because being a country club is not managed the same way as a factory, right? It's like a bunch of people that approve budgets and whatnot. So we have to make a business presentation for them. That will be around last week of January, actually first week of February. And then based on what the engineering term that we're working, we're working with an engineering team that provide services to this location. They told me that a process like this will take around 4 to 6 months, and like to get the complete approval and everything, and then start the execution of the project. So this is a little bit more long term, maybe that in a place that has a more critical need, like reliability and stuff like that. So that's kind of the timeline. We'll be looking into hopefully installing the power blocks and all of that Q3, Q4 this year.
Yeah, no, I mean, as someone who does ed tech stuff, 4 to 6 months is not terrible from my point
Okay,
of view. But yeah, no, that's
that's
good
true.
that you have a timeline though, and that they're looking forward towards that. So yeah.
Yeah, this will be the first site that runs the complete system fully. So it's like a strategic move for us in a country club where there's people that actually own factories and companies with factories that go to the country club. So it will gain a lot of visibility and help us get into our niche market, which is manufacturing. Um, see if we have any more questions. You're gonna have something, Chris? Nope. Trying to think if I missed on anything. This public launch it's scheduled for Monday, contingent to it getting approved by WeFunder. So if it's not, if there is still something missing, maybe we take a couple of more days, but we're expected to fully start it next week. And then we will decide how much time we're gonna set on it. We are thinking about 2 months. I think I can change that as we go, depending on how fast and how well we're doing. The funny thing is, a lot of people wait until the very end to invest. Once they start seeing it's reaching the end of the campaign, that's when people jump in. So you have to time that well, because if you establish such a long time, then it's gonna look like you're not growing as fast. So um, so that's kind of the strategy. So we will be looking to complete the campaign in it will be mid-March, which aligns well with other fundraising efforts we're doing, which include accelerators and government grants and other sources of funding. So yeah, if nobody else has a question. Oh, Emily joined again. Emily maybe wanted to ask something. Hi, Emily. Emily, did you want to ask something, or you just got locked out?
No, sorry, I got locked out. I didn't know if it was done, but I just came back in case the conversation was still going.
Oh, okay. No, I think maybe we're not we're done here. I don't see any more questions. Again, if anyone
Okay.
wants to know more information, we have the PowerBox community on WhatsApp. So please ask me any questions over there. Add me on LinkedIn if you haven't, or leave. You can even ask questions on WeFunder itself, which maybe it's a way to kind of show people, people that might have the same question. They can just go to us to Q&A and see the answers. So yeah, that will be it for today. Thank you so much for joining. This will be recorded, and this has been recorded, and we will be sharing after a few hours on the community. So thank you.
Thanks,
All
Oscar.
right, Oscar. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Thank you, Oscar.
Take care. Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.